Well, as you turn the page to a second round series now, what are some of the things you're working through and thoughts you have ahead of facing the Oilers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting the guys to reset, get some guys to get some rest, bumps and bruises, and then for the coaches is, the game plan. How do you totally different team? I don't think there's a lot of change in the way we play, but there are some tweaks that we're going to have to do against Edmonton, offensively and defensively.
Nice to have a few days here for that pre-scout and that reset and all that.
Yeah, and we won't know till obviously tonight after the game, but yeah, it's nice to have a couple of days here to prepare. As a coach, you always want a few more days extra, especially after playoff and the travel we've had. But I think these 2-3 days will be okay.
Part of the preparation has to be that Oilers power play that was absolutely dynamic in the first round. It seems like it's more than just that cross-seam pass to Draisaitl. I don't know if you've looked on tape. I'm sure Yao has his work cut out for it, but why is it so good? What have you seen?
Well, there's two things for me. They give you a bunch of different looks. There's about 2 or 3, 4 looks that they give you. And the one underrated thing that they do, because everybody talks about star power, they attack. They're probably one of the best teams. They have looks. I don't think they have really similar set plays. It's more their concepts. Something that we try to take a page here is when they beat you pressure-wise, they attack. And McDavid, Hyman, they go to the net hard. They're very good at that. So we got to be on our toes when it comes to that.
To counter that on 2 different levels, whether it's even strength or PK, you got Lindholm for a reason. At even strength, you can throw him or JT up against our top line. And, of course, he's in your first pairing in the PK units with Bluger. So how valuable is that? That's why you got him, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guys you just mentioned, high Q is high. When you play Edmonton, you have to have some players that have, high hockey IQ. There's times when to go and not to go. Do I take back ice? Do I press? There's a lot of different decision makers in those split seconds, and we got some guys they got a pretty good brain when it comes to that.
Ready to talk goaltending?
No.
How do you approach your goaltending situation when you do have 3 guys who've performed the way they have?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. I mean, obviously, Denver's out of the equation for game 1, obviously, so that's an easy. You don't even discuss that. But you go through the Clarkie and I. We go with the same thing. You go through the whole. You're playing this team, the play of the goalie, how many practices he's had, the health. It's the same thing. It's
She Loves is becoming a bit of a cult hero. You've talked about how calm he is and how he doesn't get rattled. What surprised you about him?
Well, I would say that just his demeanor. He's the same way when he was playing when we named him to play and when he was backing up. I didn't see much of a difference. Usually, sometimes you tell a guy he's playing, he gets a little bit more. Even as a forward or a defenseman, guys get a little bit more intense. He's the same guy, like whether he was a backup or as a starter. So I like that guys that don't change just because they're playing or not.
Have you talked to Casey, or did you feel like you needed to talk to Casey?
I haven't really talked to him quite a bit. I know Clarkie has, but not full length now.
I know there's a difference between hope and expect. Do you expect that Thatcher might be ready before this series is over?
Well, you always hope, the expect. I mean, things change day to day, but there has been improvement. To what extent? And injuries too. I've been, from my experience, it's a slow process. And all of a sudden, 2-3 days later, oh man, I really feel good. I don't know where that's at in that sense. It has improved, but to what percentage, I don't know.
Rick, on the discipline front,
Yeah.
Obviously with the power play that they've got,
Yeah.
Were you at all disappointed, frustrated that the penalty discrepancy in the power plays were, I think, 22-13 in that last round in a series that was that tight?
Yeah, the last two, especially the last two games, it was a 9-2. I mean, I thought we played two pretty good games. I mean, obviously we played close to the vest, but I thought we had some good possession time. I honestly, to be honest, the communication, and I'm going to be honest, Brad Watson was our supervisor. He was excellent. It's the best I've ever had communication with the referees in a long time in the playoff series. I thought the refs did a really good job. Yeah, am I going to nitpick? Do I think we should add a couple more? Yeah, I do. I thought, but saying that, the only thing that bothers me going into the playoffs, and it's been stated by the NHL today, we had a meeting, and I'm glad Colin Campbell said, too much embellishing. I can't stand embellishing, And I'm not even saying Edmonton's an embellished team. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I would be very on guard with the refs this year, this playoff, with this embellishment, because it's, snapping heads, falling down. I think it's become a lot, and I think it's up to the coaches to. I don't think you can promote that stuff, because if not, the NHL has got to do something about it with the refs. Whether you give a team a penalty, or if a guy's embellishment and he embellishes later, you find out from the video, I might not even give the guy a penalty again. I wouldn't give the guy embellishing a penalty again. I just can't stand embellishment.
What about, it's the age-old question of playing hard, but playing, sort of towing the line and not taking penalties. How do you sort of implore that to your guys to play the Oilers hard, but know that if they cross the line, then you're in trouble?
Well, stick on puck. There's no reason to be hooking. When you're in front of a guy, if you're in front of a guy, you're allowed to be aggressive in front of him. You have body position. I'm a big body position guy, so if you're behind a guy, you're to the side, you're probably going to have to, you can't hook and hold. You got to let him go and hopefully catch him, because once you start to hold or something, they're going to call it, right? So I think that if you stick with your details on defending, Zadorov's allowed to hit. He's allowed to flush a guy behind that and hit a guy hard. I think you got to allow that kind of hockey, and no difference for Edmonton, but I think it's the other stuff, the hooking and holding, that drive you nuts as a coach.
Did you do any work with your team yesterday, either before or after the flight?
No. No.
So just meetings today is the first time you had the group
This is the
back
first time
together?
we'll have a meeting. Some guys will go on the ice, some guys won't, and then we'll have a full practice tomorrow.
So with so many guys who had never played in playoffs, a lot of guys who hadn't played in a while and maybe hadn't won a round in a while. Are you concerned, or not concerned, how important is the mindset to get the mind back after such an emotional high, to get it back ready to start over?
Yeah, I think, what do we have, 8 or 9 guys that have never played a playoff game, and we've had some.
10 if you count.
Is it 10? Okay. So I think that, I think there's a couple of guys early on, it wasn't overwhelming, but they kind of, wow, this is playoff hockey. It took them a while to figure out. I think this round might help these guys going, okay, now I know what playoff hockey is about. Hopefully going into this round, we can loosen up a little bit more, our team. I think sometimes we played a little too tight the last series. So saying that, you still have to have the same staples and the same attitude when it comes to playoff hockey. But I think getting at this taste, getting out of the round, winning is going to loosen some guys up. I do.
Given that inexperience, were you impressed with some of the ways that these guys handled it in the first round?
Well, I saw, I'll be honest, the Coles, the Myers, I thought Zadorov, Seuss, you go down the list. I think Phil Hronik played his best game, Game 6. Huggy's always, Huggy's always around the puck. I think our D kind of held the fort for us, experience-wise. I thought they really when things got a little bit crazy out there, I thought they kind of held it together. That's why I don't think we gave Nashville a lot, even though when they were making presses, I thought I give our D a lot of credit. I think the experience helped us in this round.
What, if anything, do you take from the regular season success you had against them?
Early in the year, I don't know what happened there early in the season, but since then they've been the best team in the league. So I think statistically, I don't know, you guys would know more than me with the record. What has to be, they rattled 18 in a row off. What's their home record? They lost 1 out of 20. They've had some records, and obviously, what's McDavid? What do you have? 5 points? Was it 10 assists in the first round? Like, they shatter records. So, what do I think of it? I think it's a different team, and I think they just got off to a bad start early, and they just, they hung with it. So a lot of character in that organization.
Not a lot. I mean, whether it's betting odds or
Yeah.
Colby on TNT, not giving you guys much. Like, you guys have kind of proved doubters wrong all year, whether it's playoffs or when Demko went down. Do you embrace that?
I do. I love being doubted. I think if you start at the start of the year, whether teams, yes, as a Vancouver's going to make the playoffs, a lot of people said no, or bubble team, so we're underdogs, there. As the season went on, right, when are they going to fall? Now, the same thing, people said, the Preds are going to win. We lost that game. Or, I just think we kind of like that underdog role, and I think players should embrace it. I really do.
What about McDavid?
Yeah.
Just like flat out, you know, in the regular season, you might hold him and then you move on to the next game. You don't
Yeah.
see him for a while, but this is possibly
Yeah.
7 straight against a guy that obviously can just take over hockey games.
Yeah, the one thing I really respect about Connor, obviously he's a great player. He's, you know, when he's done, probably one of the best players ever. He is now. His work ethic. I mean, when you see him on the ice half hour before practice working on his games with his skill coach, or, you know, if there's an optional, he's on the ice, or the way he trains, you know, it's like Sidney Crosby's, it's the McKinnon's, it's McCarr's, all these guys, they work their asses off, and Connor McDavid is obsessed to be better, and it's the same as Crosby, so that's why I respect those guys. They're obsessed to be better.